as well, so that anyone who does actually miss it can catch up. So welcome, meeting number 2. We're gonna try and keep these like pretty brief and like high level stuff. I don't want to like waste people's time with irrelevant information, but we have a bunch of cool stuff we want to share with you guys. So we're gonna get started. Here's a quick overview of everything that's happening. It looks like a lot. It's really not that much. It's gonna fly by once we get started. Some of the really important stuff comes under number 4, where we've got a bunch of information we want to share with you guys. But before we start that, we want to have each sub-team just do like a quick update on where they're at with everything and what they're going to be doing moving forward. So start with, oh, here's my welcome slide. I guess that should have come before the table of contents. But yeah, we're super pumped about everything that's happening. So we're going to jump in with some design updates. I'm going to pass it off to Dea to talk a bit about ADCS.
Oh yeah, so I think that ADCS has had a good start. Our members currently together, the team's learning a lot about how the system works and where we're going to move forward. So currently we've kind of split our research off into a couple focus areas. That includes magnetorquers and also the sensors that we're going to be looking into using, and simulations as well. And we're also looking into redefining our system requirements, which we worked on in the summer, but we found that we need to kind of be more specific there. So we're going to be working on that in the coming weeks. And some of our goals for the remainder of the semester include our sensor selection, our attitude control component selection, and then also simulations as well.
Awesome. All right, I'll pass it off to Hannah to talk about power.
Okay, so basically for power, what we've been doing is just really trying to get comfortable with what an electrical power system looks like for a CubeSat. It gets a little intimidating, but I can promise you it's not that bad. Then we went and collaborated with other sub-teams to get a power budget drafted so that if we have all the power that we know that we need, then we can go and try and like start selecting components. So that's what we're going to be doing next. And then, so our goal is to have all of the choices of components decided by December. So that's what we're going to be doing. And if you're still interested in EPS, just shoot me a message. You know, we can always get you started. Don't feel bad that you missed out on some time because, you know, I can really get you caught up pretty fast.
Yeah, we could definitely use a couple extra people on EPS, so reach out to Hannah if you're interested. There's a lot of cool like electrical and software stuff that you might be doing there, so definitely check it out. I'm gonna pass it off to Danny to talk both about structures and payload.
Yeah, thanks. So for structures, we're working on our antenna substructure. We want to have that done by the CAD done by the end of the semester, and we divided that up and we're researching individual parts for that. And then we're also wanting to improve on our current design for the structure. We want to improve the rails specifically next. And then for payload, we want to continue working on our camera process selection process, and a secondary payload we think could really differentiate us from other schools. And so we want to get a sense of how much room we're going to have left inside the CubeSat for a secondary payload and brainstorm some ideas for that.
Yeah, one thing to mention, and we'll cover it a bit later, is like the CSDC still isn't 100% sure how they're going to be continuing with stuff. So payload's going to be a lot of looking into those secondary options, like Danny was saying, so that no matter what happens, we have an interesting payload to put on our satellite. So I'm going to pass it off to Colin Zunza to talk about command and data, and then communications as well.
So yeah, we've been trying to work on a few things simultaneously on the command and data side. So we've been approaching the core flight system software based on the NASA documentation, and our goal is by the end of the semester to have a demo running on either a Raspberry Pi or a virtual machine. We've also been delving into a lot of research about what microcontroller components that we could use, and then also what communication protocols we're going to be using to both communicate on our own boards and also communicate between the other sub-teams boards. A goal in terms of that is that hopefully we'll have like a package with all the software libraries and circuit schematics to give out to all the other sub teams, so they know exactly how to set up their interboard communication so that the whole CubeSat can talk to itself without any problems. And then on the comm side, so this is something that's really important. We need to have as much verification as possible, because I think like 40% of CubeSats just never end up talking to Earth. So we want to make sure that we're not part of that statistic. We want to verify our link budget, which is pretty much just how much power we need to output to have to properly hear it from Earth. We want to do that with simulations. We're hoping that we can simulate all that hopefully at some time by the end of the semester. We're also working towards, again, hardware selection, figuring out what kind of components that we can use, and then hopefully by the start of next semester, we're going to be able to start designing our circuit board for that. We're also doing antenna selection to try and figure out what kind of antennas fit our needs.
Awesome. And then to finish off with our last design update, I'm going to pass it off to Ridwan to talk about analysis.
Yeah, we're basically just going through researching some of the basic principles of astrodynamics, such as CubeSat mechanics, and we started to compile lists of potential risks our CubeSat could go through, and hopefully by the end of this semester we'll have a good idea of the risk we do, and we start tackling them and see how to mitigate that. And then our semester goal is really just to be more comfortable, get more comfortable with the built-in features of MATLAB to simulate it in our orbit. So yeah.
Awesome. So Henry's not here, so I'm going to take over, or at least I don't think he's here unless he popped in. So I'll just introduce the operations stuff, which is just the slide where I say operations updates, and then I pass it off to Hannah to talk about marketing.
There you go. Okay. Yeah, so basically what we've been doing is just really trying to figure out what projects we can take on in marketing. So right now there's website editing, there's social media posts, merch designing, and we're actually going to do a promotional video, which I'm going to talk about a little bit right now. So what we want to do is just have basically like a 60-second video of people just kind of showing what they're doing with WASP. So if you want to send me like a picture of you working on something or a video that's like 1 or 2 seconds long, that would be such a great help. We're basically just trying to send these videos to like people for sponsorships or other like mentoring or something like that. So that's basically, if you guys could send me a picture or something, it'll take 2 seconds. That would be really appreciated. We also have a meeting right after this one with the finance team. So just remember to come to that. Even if you're not in the marketing or finance teams, you can still come if you're interested, and we can always get you started on something. A couple ways that you can help is we're trying to get as much outreach as possible. So if you could like share our stories or post on your Instagram story or Facebook or whatever, that would be very helpful. And yeah, that's basically it.
Awesome. Yeah, and we'll mention that meeting again, but we're like legitimately going to be handing out tasks like right after this. So if you're interested in doing something, definitely come out to it.
Super fun.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool stuff. Okay, I'm going to pass it off to Dan to talk about finance.
All right, so with finance, we've had a really successful first few months. The first thing that we did was just completing this year's budget. So looking at all of our expenses that we're projecting for this year. And then after that, Kyle and Daniel actually created a really amazing sponsorship package. If you've seen it, I think it's been posted on LinkedIn and on Facebook too, I believe. But it's a great sponsorship package that we've been sending out to companies, and we're going to keep doing that to generate some interest in sponsorship. And then also we've submitted a really great project fund application to Western Engineering, and we're hoping to hear back about some funding that we're going to get. And also we're working on applying to some other grants right now. So one that we're currently working on is a grant with IEE IEEE. Yeah, so we're basically looking at other ways that we can generate funding for our club. So it would be really great to hear some new ideas that you guys might have. So if you're interested at all or have any ideas about trying to generate additional funding through sponsorship or donations, please message me on Slack or Kyle too, and we would love to hear your ideas. So please share. Thanks.
One thing I want to mention with that actually is we just found out recently our project fund application did get approved. So now we've got even more money. So people that worked on that, really great job. Okay, I'm going to pass it off to Kyle to talk about internal stuff.
All right, so this is the best part of the club, but basically a couple things coming up. So the recruitment part is done, but what I'm going to need is I'm going to try to get a resume database for everybody in the club, and I'm kind of going to be going through it and checking out your resume. The reason for that is when we do get sponsors, a big part of the pitch is that we have a lot of great students that would potentially want to work for their companies. So to kind of piggyback that point, on Tuesday, I actually have a meeting with the head of global talent for Celestica International. So that was kind of nuts. And I'm basically going to sell all you guys to them. So hopefully you can land some internships. But yeah, it's definitely going to try to sort out like a resume database so that when they do ask for the resumes, they all look good. And I'm going to be meeting up with a bunch of you guys. I'm going to probably send you a message to get some feedback on how you're liking the club so far and stuff like that. We're always looking for ways to improve. And then lastly, we might have some Among Us games coming up because, you know, it's COVID and we can't party. So we've got to get some Among Us games in there. Anyways, I'll pass it off to somebody else.
Yeah, so we're going to kind of not look at all of external because all the regulation stuff comes next semester. So I'm just going to pass it directly to Tom to talk about some of the community outreach stuff he's been doing.
Hey everyone, so I haven't formally introduced myself to the club yet. My name is Tom and I'm the organizer of the community outreach sub-team. So the founding idea of this sub-team was just that every organization should commit to having a positive effect on its community. So I just wanted to briefly introduce you to the sub-team, talk a little bit about our plans, some of our goals, and then tell you a little bit about how you can get involved. So we are a technical club, but our positive impact does not have to be purely technical. So we've developed some working goals for this sub-team, and they kind of center around reaching out to those who are especially isolated due to COVID-19, kind of give them some stimulating presentations, as well as reaching out to local prospective future Western students who might still be in high school. So some actions we've been working on is doing presentations in retirement homes. So I was actually just talking to my grandma today, and she's probably the least technical person you could ever meet. But I was telling her a little bit about this, and she was saying like how bored she is not being able to leave her home, and how interesting it would be to hear somebody come in and talk passionately about space and satellites and something that she's never heard about. We're also looking at doing some presentations in high schools that would be more technical and more design focused. And then a little bit of a long-term goal would be doing some group volunteering. So I volunteer at the London Food Bank, and they have greenhouses and plant beds. And so I've been talking to them a little bit about if they have any building projects. It'd be really fun if we could do like a team build at some point in the future. Of course, with COVID social distancing in mind. So now I want to talk to you a little bit about how you can get involved and why you should be involved in this specific sub-team. So a great way you could be involved is bring a project that you've been working on in your sub-team to one of your team leads. So this is a really easy way to get involved. If you just tell one of your team leads that you think this would be something great to present, you have like cool visuals or something, they can pass you off to me, or you can message me directly. And it's a great way to get a little bit more involved in your sub-team, even if it's something that you're not working on, but it's something you want to develop a baseline understanding of. You know, talk to your team leads and maybe you could present it. Great way to improve your public speaking skills too. Also, we would really like it if people who went to high school locally could connect us with your favorite high school science teachers. It's a great way to maintain your status as a teacher's pet after graduation. And, you know, it'd be really nice if we could reach out to some local high schools and maybe get some more people in Western and some more people in this club in the long term. The other thing is we are a small group in or we're a small sub team in a young design team. So just one person can have a really big impact on the team. So great resume booster and a really easy way that you can have a big impact in the club. So just to quickly summarize, involvement in the community outreach sub-team, it's an easy way to grow your involvement or start your involvement in the club. And you know, you can reach out to any member of the executive if you want to be more involved in this club. But I just want to reiterate that sentiment and say that if you want to get more involved and are unsure of where to go, I would love to help you out. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you, Tom. Yeah, honestly, like I know we're a design team and, you know, our goal is to build a satellite, but you'll notice even from your own experiences, like not many people know much about space. So this is a really great opportunity to pass information off and pass that inspiration that we all have onto our community so people can know that it's not just, you know, rocket scientists that do this. It can be pretty much anyone that can take the time and put the effort in. So really great work there, Tom. And if anyone's interested, definitely reach out to them. So that's it for our updates from design and operations. We do have a bit of additional info. This is actually like a decent chunk of the presentation, but we'll still call it additional info, so it sounds like it's going by quick. So to begin, kind of an unfortunate note, we didn't really realize this when we were naming the team. We thought that WASP was a really cool acronym because it was kind of like a bee in flying. And I mean, satellites fly at one point in their life. And it worked perfect with our name and everything. And we were super pumped about it. And then we realized after we'd done all of this marketing and stuff, that it actually, that acronym does mean something that can be used derogatory. So we don't want to offend anyone. We don't want to represent Western in a way that could be offensive. So we're going to look at just changing our acronym. There's a big enough name, Western Aerospace and Satellite Project, that I'm sure we can find an acronym within there. So we've suggested a few in this poll that's going to be posted pretty much immediately following this meeting. We've suggested a couple. We want you guys to be creative and come up with some other ones that might be interesting as well. And then eventually we'll have a team vote to see, you know, what our official acronym is going to be, because saying and typing Western Aerospace and Satellite Project every time you want to reference our team is kind of difficult. So we definitely do need a shorthand. We just don't want it to be, you know, anything that people could take offense to. So we're definitely going to look at changing that. Second point on naming is our satellite needs a name. We can't just call it a CubeSat. We can't just call it, you know, our satellite. We need to have a cool name that means something. So I've got another poll that's going to be posted right after this meeting as well. Some things to note is that usually these names have like some cool meaning or something like that. Either they're like a mix of, you know, like our organization name and who we are, or they have some historical meaning. Sometimes they're like Greek gods or something like that. Just keep that in mind, be creative and suggest stuff. And then eventually down the line, we'll have another vote as well so that we can keep our democracy intact and have a good name that represents all of us for our eventual satellite. Another point that we want to mention, he's not here for this meeting right now, but Dr. Matt Cross is one of our faculty advisors, and he just recently found out that he's going to be transitioning to a position at a company called Mission Control Space Services. So most of you guys probably haven't met Matt Cross, but him and I have been chatting a lot throughout this whole process and over the course of the summer. He's been a great deal of help to our entire team and guiding us in the right direction. He's by no means leaving, but he just isn't doing his postdoc at Western anymore. So just keep you guys in the loop that he will be moving on to this position in Ottawa, and he'll still be available remotely as we are all remotely still. But we just want to wish him the best with everything that he's doing. So bit of financial stuff that didn't really fit into our financial updates, but they're more just like notes in general. So we do have our membership fee that's going to be due at the end of November. I did have a few questions come up about this. So I just wanted to clarify that the reason our membership fee is slightly higher than some of the other design teams is simply because all the other design teams work on an annual basis. So they build, you know, one car, one plane, for the year and then go to competition. We're structured slightly differently because it's kind of difficult to build a satellite in 1 year. So typically, if we weren't in a COVID situation, it would be a 2-year cycle. It's looking like it might be closer to 3 once everything's said and done. So our membership fees are just representative of that longer time frame that you're involved with the team. And honestly, it's really not that much in the grand scheme of things. You're going to get some awesome merch. We're like 99% sure it's going to be a shirt, might be a sweater or something like that. Henry's working on all of that. But you're going to get some like cool swag and everything, and you get to build a friggin' satellite. So that's pretty sick. So there's a link that I'm going to be posting with this whole recap message in the announcements channel that has the spot where you go to pay that membership fee. So as Dan and Kyle were mentioning in their 2 previous sections, we need your guys' help with sponsorship as well. I know Hannah mentioned right after this, we're having a marketing and finance meeting, and we're going to be discussing a lot of the strategies we're going to have, not only to get corporate sponsors, but also just to get support from the general public. So if you have friends or family that work at cool companies or are interested in supporting us, even if it's not in a financial sense, but they're just interested in getting to know the project or potentially giving us some expert advice, definitely reach out to us and let us know. We're relying on you guys and your connections to help support this project. And if you have any other ideas, something that's kind of outside the box that we might not have thought of, definitely let Dare Kyle know of these interesting ways you have of raising money or getting other companies involved.
Before you go to the next slide, oh, sorry. Lily had her hand up, so I figured she had a question about this slide.
Oh, no worries. Yeah, I just can't see people's hands, so go ahead.
Yeah, I was a little confused. So when you say it's because like the $35 membership fee is because like it's like a 2-year project, does that mean that covers 2 years, or every year we're gonna have to pay it again?
So the reason the initial buy-in is going to be more than any subsequent fees, we still haven't fully decided on that, depending on how much sponsorship we get. But the reason the initial buy-in is more is simply just because of that initial merchandise and the fee being added together. So if there is a team fee for next year, it'll obviously be substantially less for people who have already paid this $35 fee. If it even exists in the first place, we still have to figure out what financial position we're in following the end of next semester. But yeah, we wouldn't expect you to pay, the same $35 next year as well. That was kind of the point I wanted to drive home there.
Thanks.
And thanks, Al, for letting me know. So I've picked one. I believe that's how you pronounce it. UKPIC is how I've heard it pronounced a couple times too. They're the graduate level satellite program that we've been talking about a couple times, that both Dr. Sabrina Thon, who's the principal investigator, and Dr. Matt Cross, who was the project manager, that they've been working on. They're doing what's called Assembly Integration and Testing, or AIT, in the new year. And they've kind of been eyeballing us as potential people to help them actually put this thing together, which is pretty freaking cool, because we might get the opportunity to assemble a satellite and learn about how all their subsystems work before we have to do anything with ours. So definitely, if you're interested in that sort of stuff, we encourage you to stay engaged with our program, because we're not going to know if people are interested if they're not coming out to meetings and everything. So definitely in the new year, depending on how COVID works and everything, we might have an awesome opportunity to sit down hands-on with all the stuff they're doing. They also have a critical design review, or CDR, coming up soon with the Canadian Space Agency. So definitely good luck to them on that. And finally, for those of you that are looking to make money and do stuff over the summer, there's research opportunities through NSERC. I was talking to Dr. Matt Cross about this, and they're definitely looking for people specifically for their satellite program to be doing research over the summer, and they're looking for undergraduates to do that. I don't really have a ton more details aside from that. I will post a link that sort of introduces what NSERC is and everything. But if you are interested in this sort of stuff, definitely reach out to me and I can put you in contact with those people. Last point, probably the coolest point, is you'll notice if you look at our org chart, and you'll notice if you just listen to the people who are presenting, is that there's a lot of people doing, 2 roles. And that's not ideal because we want people to be focused on the things they're doing and not have a bunch of work they have to do. So we are looking at expanding our leadership team, both at the top level where, say it's someone in like marketing or finance or the design roles. We're looking at expanding those, but we're also adding some additional roles that are a bit smaller for people who just want to take on a bit of a smaller chunk. So definitely we're taking, you know, note of who's interested and engaged and putting in the effort, so that when these applications roll around, those who are, you know, dedicating time to the team will obviously have a bit of a stronger application versus someone who is just kind of, you know, here for the ride, which is okay if you are, but if you're interested in any of these leadership positions, definitely keep that in mind on a week-to-week basis. Applications for this are going to roll out, you know, as we feel fit, but we anticipate the first couple of them will happen at the start of next semester. So I don't discourage anyone from applying, even if you're sitting there as a first year that's, you know, never done anything with space. Don't discredit yourself and don't take yourself out of the running early, but definitely reach out if you have any questions at all.
I also wanted to add in on that. The best applicants will be the ones who are the most active, like Jeff was saying. So, you know, if you come to all the meetings and you're really involved, like the people who are in those lead positions now will see that, and you're going to be a lot better of an applicant than someone who say, you know, doesn't go to meetings and just applies because they want to.
Mm-hmm. This kind of stuff will look great on your resume, but it's only going to end up on your resume and you know, on your LinkedIn and stuff if you're actually putting in the effort as well. We're looking for people that are interested and enjoy doing this sort of stuff. Okay, last slide I have before I finish rambling about everything. If you're interested in writing any code, make sure to send me your GitHub username. I mentioned that just because I have to add that to our GitHub organization so that you have permission to do everything. So anyone that's interested in doing that, you're probably on the command and data and comms team. But if you're not, just take note and send me your GitHub username. And make sure to send your Gmail to your team leads so that we can add you to the drive, so we don't end up with a bunch of like anonymous blubber fishes and stuff like that in our drive. It's not a huge deal, but it is nice to be able to track like who's typing what so we can, you know, gain a bit of context. And that is it. So just a quick reminder that we have that marketing and finance meeting right after this. We'll post a link into both of those channels, but they're also on the calendars as well. I'll open the floor right now if anyone has any questions. And if not, we'll start wrapping it up here then.
A few people messaged me and asked about where they can pay the team fee.
For sure. So immediately following this presentation, I'm going to upload this presentation to YouTube, and I have a whole message I've typed out with links to everything that we were talking about, including links to these slides that have the links to that web store. But also in the main message, I have a link that's like, here's where you pay the team fee. So just give it about 15 minutes after this meeting, and the link will be in the announcements channel. Thank you, Kyle. Yeah, if anyone else has any other questions, feel free to ask them in chat or come off mute or whatever. Awesome. Okay. Well, I thank you guys for coming. We kept this to 35 minutes, which is perfect. I don't want to keep you guys for too long. I just want to make sure we're all on the same page and passing out updates as we need to. Definitely reach out if you guys have any other questions afterwards, or if anything's sort of not clear, or you feel like you don't have anything to do or don't really know where to start. Reach out to any of the execs or really anyone on the team. We're all very welcoming, and we all understand this is a very difficult project to do. So we don't expect people to just, know where to go right away. So I'll wrap it up there. Thank you guys for coming. I hope you guys have a good weekend, and I'll see you guys at the meetings and everything.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks.
Thanks. Take it easy.